All right. We are live on YouTube. Okay, great. So we are going to get things started. Right, lovely. All right, guys, so welcome. We are going to get started now. Just getting things set up so I can make sure that I am seeing and hearing everything. All right, so welcome to everyone who may be on. Good evening. Thank you for joining on. And let me just say, if it is you do watch the replay, just put hashtag replay. All right, so I would know that you watched the replay. So let me just keep this here. All right, so we're live on YouTube, guys, and there might be persons who might be joining in on the Zoom room. Feel free to pop in either place. All right, so whether you're on Zoom here with me or via YouTube, just, put something in the chat. Let me know that you're hearing me clearly, especially on YouTube, because I know those on the Zoom room will hear me. But those who are on YouTube, just put something in the chat to let me know that you're hearing me clearly. All right. I see Celine saying good evening. Thank you so much for that. But just give me a heads up if it is you hearing me clearly. All right. I just want to make sure that everything is clear. All right. Thank you for joining early. Thank you for joining on time. We want to get this show started, all right? Because we want to get through everything we need to get through. Good. Thank you so much for that feedback. We want to get through everything we want to talk about. We're talking about AI and leadership. So, guys, let's jump right in. I mean, I would introduce myself in a moment for those who may not know me, but thank you so much for showing up either in the Zoom room or on YouTube, and certainly come with all your questions, all right, because we really want to talk about this. Artificial intelligence is becoming a bigger and bigger matter. All right, and we need to talk about it. We want to break this thing down. And because I operate in the sphere of leadership, working with leaders, executives, managers, CEOs, I have seen where organizations fail to adapt and leaders fail to adapt and then end up irrelevant, end up obsolete. Not necessarily because they didn't have value to add or that they weren't fantastic leaders. It was simply because they were scared or didn't know how to change with the times. All right, so I wanted to just talk about this a little bit from a leadership perspective. If you are in leadership, you will have to treat with AI. If you are in leadership, you may be treating with AI already in your organization, regardless of which position. If you're the apex leader, the CEO, managing director, president, you're on the board, or you may be a departmental leader, a functional manager, middle manager, line manager, you are going to have to treat with AI. All right, so let me introduce myself very quickly for those who may not know me, or if it's the first time when someone is watching over the video. My name is Safiya Johnson, and I am a leadership strategist. I essentially help people become exceptional leaders and just help them to help their people to want what they want. All right, and I operate in the sphere of executive leadership. So I work with executives, executive teams, CEOs, and I also work with managers many times. All right. In fact, we have a program coming up starting next week. Yeah, next week, Tuesday. And what we have found with our program, sometimes people join not just because of the leadership in their workplace, but they join because it helps them to be fantastic leaders in the home, in their social communities, religious communities, all right, because leadership is everywhere. All right, so we could always talk about that a little bit later, but let's jump into AI. All right, so persons may be very familiar with AI already, but there may be some who are not familiar with AI. So let me start off by just saying very simply what AI is. AI is artificial intelligence. AI is the acronym for it. And really, it is intelligence by machines. So we have human life intelligence. We have non-human life intelligence, like animals. But you have machine intelligence now, all right, where they are able to program the machines with so many different scripts, algorithms, that they can use cognitive processes that we thought only humans could have done. We find machines can do it as well. So AI now, their capability, they can observe just like a human. Once they either see things, read things, scan things, it's all input that they can use for their analysis. So they observe a lot of things, and they're going to realize with AI, they can do it much faster than humans can. They learn also. Not only do they observe, but they learn from what they observe. They learn from what they're exposed to. They learn from what is inputted into them. Now, one of the issues we can have as humans is that sometimes we struggle to learn. We struggle to learn from experiences. So you find sometimes persons go around and around in circles. It's because there is a failure to learn. What is the lesson here? What am I doing wrong? What can I change so I can get a different outcome? AI doesn't have that challenge. AI learns. So whatever it is exposed to, it forms part of that engine that they're going to use to spit out a particular output. Now, they also do planning. All right. So based on what goal you have or what goal you tell it you are trying to achieve, it can charge you the best way there. All right. It is very, very savvy. And then also one of the big parts of AI we are seeing is they are huge decision makers. So they can calculate based on all they would have observed, all that they would have learned, understanding the goals that you're trying to achieve. They can tell you which is the best decision to make now that will help you get the best outcome. All right. So by and large, the reason why people are using AI, as we would most likely know, is to do things faster and less costly. All right, because less costly means bigger profit. All right. And the thing is, humans have done, if you just look back through time, you would see the evolution. So where we are now really was inevitable. All right. And people use humans to do different things. But after a while, once it becomes repetitive, once we can predict what is going to happen, once we can determine the kind of outcome we're trying to achieve, and we can find a formula to get it done, then they can put it into a machine to get it done. Now, what we realize, as I heard one person said, is that robots long ago were used to do blue-collar jobs, but AI now used to do white-collar jobs. What does that mean? What does that mean? Because blue-collar jobs, they're more referring to factory workers, persons who work on the line, who are doing repetitive things. The white-collar jobs now, they come into the more professional jobs, the jobs that don't require muscle or brawn, right, or a lot of physical activity, but the jobs that require thinking, the intellect, the mind. So when it is you would go to school, pay huge amounts of money, spend a lot of time, endure a lot of sacrifice to get your qualifications, you have a piece of machine that's going to nullify that in seconds. That is what we're facing. It's coming after white-collar jobs, right? The professional jobs. And what I have learned from a lot of my research and some of the exposure is that they have reached going up the ranks now. So they would have started with the more junior white-collar jobs, and now they are coming higher up the ranks. So they have been doing a lot of testing with the middle management because they are trying to break down the repetitive or predictable components of a manager's job so that they can get AI to do it. All right. Now, again, inevitable. All right. Inevitable. So more now than ever, your humanness is important. You remember years ago when they would say, leave all the drama by the door. They want you to work like a robot, like a machine. And we are trained to understand that that is what is required in the workplace. Now, with artificial intelligence doesn't need vacation. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't require maternity leave. There's a lot of different benefits to AI that organizations are going for. So let's look at some of the developments, all right, just very quickly before we jump into the core part of today, all right? So one of the world's leading developers in the AI space is China. No surprise there, right? China right now leads with AI research and development, and its government has allocated billions of US dollars. Billions, the government, not just private entities, not just private entities like the Alibabas and the government has allocated billions of US dollars towards the next generation AI technology. All right. And we know once China is able to master certain things in the AI space, it then becomes available for sale for all kinds of companies around the world. And so I just want to touch on 3 AI technology that is out already being used, just so that you know. And the reason why I'm having this discussion, and it's so interesting. I told someone I was going to have a discussion on AI and leadership, and they felt like AI and leadership, like, no, AI is just coming to do robot stuff, the mundane stuff. No, it's very, very savvy, very, very savvy. If you've ever used any of them, I've had the opportunity to use a couple of them. They are very, very savvy, very, very savvy. So let's just talk about 3 of them. OpenAI, it's a company, all right, in the AI space. You would have heard a lot about Chat GPT. I don't know if anybody would have heard about Chat GPT. Let me know in the chat if you heard about Chat GPT. All right, in the business space, it's huge right now, but the GPT is a particular technology. They had 3, GPT-3 that came out in 2020, and then GPT-4 that came out last month, March. All right, and this particular AI is right now the most advanced in the world. It is so coherent and fluent that it almost seamlessly and perfectly simulating human speech. All right. And what it does, it produces output where even other software that is used to detect plagiarism and copywriting is finding it difficult to distinguish between output from GPT and if it is a person who wrote it originally. All right. With the latest model last month, the level of creativity is even higher. So the level of uniqueness of the writing, once you are able to program it, once you give it the parameters, once it hears you speak for like about 3.7 seconds, it can replicate you almost perfectly. All right. And so what you're going to find, again, when you spent all your night, for those who would have done their bachelor's and their master's and their PhD, writing all your theses and everything, this AI will do that for you in minutes, if not seconds. All right. It is very, very advanced. And I understand that the most advanced version that they released last month will dramatically change the way we communicate with computers. Dramatically. All right. It will almost be like we're talking to another person. All right. So I want us to become just familiar with what is happening in this space. Now, IBM, they have one called Watson. And this one is particularly skilled in using unstructured data, meaning it can read documents, emails, social media posts, you name it, unstructured data, and extract from it any relevant information that you may want, whoever is giving it its instructions. And also it can detect patterns and then mimic it. All right. So we see so many things happening with accounts getting hacked and all these different crazy images that you may think real. But now with the AI, if persons really want to be malicious, it's not hard to be. Because once they look at some of your social media posts, once they've read sufficient, once it has input sufficient emails from you, it can almost speak and operate using your language, your vocabulary, just like your tone of voice, everything. All right? This one in particular can also do, Watson, is that it can simulate human thought processes and decision making and learn from feedback. Now, that is big. That is big. Because if it can simulate human thought processes, the way you think about something, the way you consider something, the factors that you look at when you're making a decision, especially if you're a manager, especially if you're a leader, decision making is a big part of your role. So Watson in particular can simulate the way you make decisions. All right? And if it is you give it feedback, it learns from that feedback. And you don't have to give it the feedback twice. You know, when you're dealing with person, sometimes if you tell them the same thing over and over again, AI doesn't have that issue. All right? So you're also going to find that it's becoming very, very easy. Because right now, the cost is probably prohibitive. But again, once China and other countries master it and master the production of it, the cost is going to go down. Once the cost goes down, you're going to see greater rollouts through organizations. All right. Last one I want to talk about, Google DeepMind. All right. That's one of Google's organizations. And they developed AlphaGo. Specifically, this was a trial to win a game called Go. What it found is that it beat the world champion. All right, the AI, it was able to learn from playing the champion and use back the very moves to beat the champion. All right. So what is happening is that this thing is so adaptive. All right. It is so predictive. You know, when persons forget or cannot store all of those things in their minds, AI doesn't have that issue. All right. And so we now, as humans, you may not realize it, or you may, as I'm speaking, you have a competitor. You have a competitor that is faster than you. And right now, they are actually designing tests to determine how intelligent it is. Is it smarter than humans? All right. And so now more than ever, you need to be aware. You need to be aware. Some of the industries that are using AI right now, and I know it's going to be the focus of a lot of governments, all right, and a lot of countries, healthcare, going to be a big one, all right, because there may be some things that AI can do where humans may fail a bit. Finance, all right, right now there is a big concern whether AI is able to predict movement in the stock market. All right. So when it is really and truly, it's based on your own savvy, based on trends, based on your experience, you're able to invest and determine when to pull out based on what's going to happen in the market. If it is you have AI going to tell you what is going to happen, again, because it doesn't have an issue storing information, all right, and it's learning, it's adaptive, it has the same thought processes as humans, is this going to create an issue for the way we invest and then transport? All right. Right now, there are huge amounts of companies already using AI-powered virtual assistants. What some persons realize is that in talking to companies, they may think they're speaking to a person, but really it's AI. Companies are using AI to sell. So you actually think you're speaking to a salesperson, you're actually speaking to AI. All right. So it is becoming more and more commonplace already, but the development is so advanced that you may not even be realizing that you're dealing with AI. All right. So a little bit of news again before I jump a little bit deeper on in terms of leaders. What can you do? What can you expect? All right. Because you don't want to be a leader that becomes irrelevant in this space. All right. So in March last month, you might have heard the news that Elon Musk joined with over 1,000 persons signing an open letter. It included the co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, and they were calling for a 6-month pause on AI experiments. Elon Musk, all right? He has a huge risk appetite, as we will come to know him, right, globally. He has a large risk appetite. Apple as well. And when you have persons like this calling for a 6-month pause on AI experiments. And the reason is because we, and this I'm quoting them, we can face profound risks to society and humanity. Should we develop non-human minds that might eventually outnumber, outsmart, obsolete, and replace us? I'm quoting. Because they were developing this thing probably faster than they realized, as well as if it is you give it the ability to learn, it probably was learning faster than we realized. All right? One AI actually passed the bar exam. They simulated a bar exam, but attorneys usually sit, and it passed. So there's so many implications for authenticity and true skill, true ability, and true experience. Right? Oh, yes, in the manufacturing industry, yeah, it's significant. It's significant. It's across the board. And the thing is, while Elon Musk said that in March, in April last week, he announced that he's actually going to develop a competitor for GPT, the one we were just talking about earlier. So while he was calling for a 6-month pause on AI experiments, 1 month later, not even 1 month, fully 1 month later, he announces he's going to start development on a competitor to GPT. They said right now the AI market is worth $86 billion US. And by 2030, it will be worth $460 billion. All right, that should tell us something. That should tell us something. Now, I had this session, not many people are on, and that's fine. People will become more cognizant when they get a letter from HR or when they hear of some adoption taking place in their workplace and it comes a little bit closer to home. So I really want to congratulate you for being on and taking interest in it so that you can be first, as we call it in business, first to market or an early adopter, right? Where you can position yourself always ahead of the curve. Always ahead of the curve. So let's talk a little bit about, and this is where sometimes I miss in-person sessions, right? Get to feel the room, see people's faces, all right? Ask questions, all right? But if you do have any questions, anything bubbling in your mind, certainly put it in the chat. I have the YouTube chat in front of me as well as the Zoom chat. So if it is you have any questions, just plop it in, I will answer. But I want to chat about some of the management jobs, all right? Because we're really talking about AI and leadership. That was just the introduction leading up to what we're really talking about. So where they're using AI right now in management, and I understand since 2001, and it could have really been before, right? It's really what information is available to the public is really what I'll be looking at. So some of the things that they're using AI for right now in management is, if it is you're a manager and you have a team working for you, especially if your team works shift, rostered in any form of fashion, that is handled now by AI, very easy scheduling. The other thing is performance management, performance measuring. All right. And the thing is, and these things are good things, they're not bad things at all. All right. Performance measurement and performance management. So what it actually is doing, once you're able to determine what is the performance standard, they are measuring what people produce against the standard within a particular time frame, and depending on whether there are other characteristics like quality, number, anything like that, they're measuring all of that. And then based on the trends, based on the person's history, it will even recommend to you what you should be doing now with the staff. It will also even give to you a script to follow if it is you have to have a meeting with the staff, whether it's a congratulatory meeting, a feedback meeting, whether it is even a disciplinary meeting. It tells you, listen, based on everything a disciplinary meeting is required right now, this is the script that we recommend that you use. All right. So it is helping managers right now with performance measurement and performance management. Now, some of these things are very, very good. All right. We're gonna get a little deeper. The other thing that they're using it for is analyzing data. Now, there's some data that managers analyze. All right. Certainly the output of your department. You also analyze your department in relation to the wider organizational goals. If it is you are a CEO, I mean, you analyze, well, you have analysts, but then you have to convert that data into useful information to help you make decisions. So the AI is taking that data and converting it into information, and then taking that information and suggesting to you what is the best decision to make. As a CEO, as a VP, as a manager, as a supervisor, it doesn't matter which level. Once they get the data, it could be data on sales, it could be data on costs. And we're dealing with machines. So all of this emotional thing is not part of it, all right? They're looking at the hard facts, all right? They're looking at the hard facts. And looking at the hard facts based on understanding what is the target, what is the goal, what the organization is supposed to be doing at a particular point in time is going to tell you, hey, listen, based on everything that I analyzed, this is my recommended next course of action. So it's giving a lot of guidance now to managers and CEOs. The other thing that it's doing is a lot of scenario planning and scenario modeling. So if you've ever heard about that, when it is you're doing strategic planning or any kind of planning, one of the ways in which you can do it is not only strategic planning, right, which might be for 3 to 5 years, it could be annually, it could be even for a shorter period, like a 6 months or a quarter. If it is you have different factors or elements that you have to consider that may impact a particular outcome in the organization, you can run different scenarios. A best case scenario, a worst case scenario, a mid case scenario. If this happens, then this is what the outcome is going to be. And you may be trying to figure that out. You may be trying to pull all the information you need to assess it, to even then really analyze it to then determine the decision. Yeah, but the AI is going to do that for you in no time at all. It's going to run the scenarios for you, right? It's going to model out the various scenarios for you and really perhaps very accurately predict the various outcomes that then allows you to then choose the specific one that you would want in order to get the outcome you're looking for. All right, so it does a lot of that right now for you. Overall, decision recommendations. I talked about decision recommendation in terms of performance management. I talked about it even from operations management. But overall, in just making decisions in your day-to-day business, in your day-to-day teams, in your day-to-day positions, once you set it with the right scripts and you prime it well, it can help you make decisions and make decisions very, very quickly. Because the AI, let's say, for example, the one GPT, I understand it's like 167 billion scripts that it's running from. All right. And all the information that's on the internet, it's available to it like that. So taking all of that information, which your mind cannot hold nor process very quickly, even if it could have held it, the AI is doing that and recommending to you the best course of action. The best course of action as a decision maker in your business. All right. And that is very, very critical. That is very, very critical. And the other thing it's doing is monitoring staff. And that has started already on a number of warehouses and operational facilities across the US and other countries where staff have certain bans on their hands. And if it is they find that you're moving too slow, or that you're taking too long to do something, or you're not producing at a particular rate, you might get a buzz or a vibration, or if it is you go to a particular part of the building, it's tracking everything. So that's already there. So just having somebody supervisory level of management is already being taken over. I was talking about middle management, and it's going to get more and more advanced. So it's going to get more and more complex, and it's going to go higher and higher up the chain. Now, if you would have followed me for a while, you would have known that I always talk about the distinction between management and leadership. And I want to bring this in here. And the reason why I want to bring it in here is because I want to connect some dots for you. Now, management, and for those who may have heard it already, bear with me. I want to go through it for those who may not have heard it as yet. Management came from an old Latin word that means controlling horses. It was designed. The word came out for that purpose. It wanted to communicate that controlling horses, they get managed. And throughout the years, this is what was used during all the centuries to describe managing people. All right. So when it is you look at the definition of management, even up to now, you go to Peter Drucker and some of these management gurus, they're going to say planning, controlling, organizing, directing. All right. Management never contemplated the complex emotional and social structure of humans. Never. Because it was meant for controlling horses. And so what you find is that throughout the years, the way we were groomed for management. And so we always talk about managing people. The names of the positions are manager. You have IT manager, finance manager, operations manager. It's managers because that is the mental thinking of society. What you have found now is that AI is coming to do management. AI is coming to do that planning, organizing, controlling, directing. That is what AI is doing, and it's going to do it very, very well. It's going to do it very, very well. So if you are a leader in an organization, from the supervisory level, middle management level, functional level, you can be executive, senior executive, chief executive, and you rely very heavily on management, or your style is one that is heavily management driven, AI would very easily take you over. I will talk about leadership in a moment. But I want to share with you a piece of research that was done back in 2020. Oracle and Workplace Intelligence did it. They surveyed over 12,000 people. 12,000 people from 11 countries. Here are some of the results that they found. Now, 83% of the people felt emotionally drained and stressed after the pandemic. And 68% of those persons said that they prefer to speak with a robot than their managers when they're stressed. 53% of British workers in another study said that they prefer having a robot as a boss compared to their current ones because they are not fairly treated. What they're finding is that persons are saying, with a surprising number of people, that really and truly they think they will get a fair chance. There's going to be judgment-free zone. I'm telling you the outcome of the study. Judgment-free zone, unbiased outlet to share problems. They're going to get quicker responses and feedback. There's going to be more transparency. There's going to be proper prioritizing of work and needs. There's going to be better management of the workloads, and there will be better boundaries if they had a robot compared to their current bosses. So when it is you have investors, shareholders, boards of directors, hearing that AI requires no leave the way humans require leave, and as I said, the only thing right now is the cost is prohibitive. That is going to change in the very near future. And you're going to find that even the team members are saying that the people who are there, and the majority of people are over 50%, 53% of the people on one side and 68% on the other side, is saying we prefer a robot than the boss I currently have. And the reason for that is because people are operating as managers. People are just planning, directing, controlling, organizing. They are trying to manage the people, and people absolutely hate it. People absolutely hate it. And so it's a very strange thing, because the lower level staff, they're already being targeted for AI. And then those same staff, when they ask them about their manager, say, well, I prefer a robot than my current boss. And what you're going to find over time, if it is persons remain in the mindset of just hardcore management, they'll be very easily replaced by AI. Very easily. Very, very easily. All right. And I want you to take note of the things that people said. They said that the robot will be easier to talk to because it will be a non-judgment. It will be a no judgment, a judgment-free zone. They believe that they will be fairly treated. See what people need in the workplace. They are going to have an unbiased outlet to share their problems. They're going to get quicker responses and feedback. And let me tell you, this feedback is a big, big thing to people. Very, very big. They're going to get transparency. Right now, managers or leaders, or let me not say leaders, managers, don't think that they owe anybody an explanation. They don't have to give an account to anybody who they're reporting to. So things are just done, decisions are just made. Yeah, people have an issue with that. Improper prioritizing. They think things are prioritized that are not really important, but just based on what the manager thinks is important. All right. Improper management of workloads. So some people's workloads are heavy, some are light. It's not balanced, it's not fair. And they also believe that there would be boundaries, because once you have these greater efficiencies, when I'm off from work, no one will be calling my phone. Person would allow me, I would be able to go on vacation undisturbed, all of these different things. When I get off work at a particular time, no one is encroaching on that time. Boundaries. All right. So I want to talk about how to ensure that you don't end up a casualty. How to ensure you don't end up a casualty. If it is you are in a management position, it can be from supervisory all the way up the chain. You want to ensure from now, because you cannot do it only when you hear AI is being introduced in your organization. All right. Any organization introducing AI, they are not going to do it with a lot of fanfare, because it can create a lot of human resource issues, a lot of industrial relations issues. So they're not going to do it a lot of pomp and fanfare. So by the time you hear about it, a decision may have already been made about you. So you want to start now. You want to be ahead of the curve. You want to start to think about that so that you can strategically position yourself to ensure that you're always relevant. Okay? So let's talk about how not to be a casualty. So let me know, just stop in for a moment if I jump into that. How are we going? How are we going? Just give me a thumbs up. Let me know something that we're going okay, following me, making sense. Let me know. All right, okay, good. Get a thumbs up there. All right. Nice. Okay, good. Right. Yeah, that's in. So let me make sure that I'm not just there by myself. Nice. Okay, good. So how not to be a casualty? I'm going to talk now about the definition of leadership. And then I'm going to go into the various steps that you should take. And this is I think I have 3 or 4 things that you can do right away. All right, right away. And continue working on, so that you do not end up an AI casualty. There's no need to be. There's no need to be. All right. So leadership came from an old Latin word as well, that means to guide someone to a place that they have never been. To guide someone to a place that they have never been. And that definition is so loaded. So loaded. All right. And we don't have time to break it down. But it suggests something. Firstly, management, which is controlling horses, you realize in that scenario, there is no person. There's no person. But in the leadership scenario, there is someone, a person. All right? And you would realize that there's movement because you're guiding someone to a place that they have never been. There is movement. There is growth. All right? And you are in front. You are in front as the leader. Now, as a leader, you may not always have been where you're taking someone. Sometimes you are cutting the path as people are leading you, and that's fine. But you must always know that you are in front. You are the one guiding. So you must be going somewhere. You must have an idea where you're going. You cannot just be, well, let's just see what happens and have people follow you over a cliff. All right. So leadership, and what was contemplated and intended by the word is that someone will guide someone else to a place that they have never been, and a place of growth, a place that puts them in a better position. All right. So that is your responsibility. People who come under your charge, they must end up in a better position, in a better place, in a better space than from when they first met you or from when they were not under your charge. That being said, the pointers I'm going to give you now are all components of leadership. You have no choice. Now, I've said it before, I'm just reiterating now. You have no choice but to lean into leadership. No choice. Because if you continue on the side of management, which could be safe, which could be almost calculating and sterile, and some persons feel it leaves the emotion out. And so I just come to do a job, I do my job, and I go home. AI can very easily replicate that. What AI can't replicate is you. It can replicate your speech pattern. It can even replicate, how you may think something through. But again, management didn't contemplate it, and AI is not contemplating it necessarily. And whether it does contemplate it and it has the ability to do it, is the complex emotional and social structure of humans. It will always be a trump. It is your trump as a leader, and it is your trump to stay relevant. Because at the end of the day, it is people. And people can unplug AI if it comes to that. So let's jump in. One, the first thing you need to do to not be a casualty to AI is you must find you. You must find you. And when I say find you, it is quite alarming sometimes, sad in some regard, when I deal with executives, managers, leaders of great notoriety, some of them more obscure, who still haven't found themselves, don't know who they are, don't know their value. All they know is their jobs or their skill set or their qualifications. And they think that is the sum total of who they are. In this season of the world's history, you must find that and pull that out. It's like how everybody has their own fingerprint. You have your own uniqueness. So there can be two accountants, but one will still be very different from the other. All right? You have to find that in yourself. You have to find that genius, that excellence, that, for some people, it's their little bit of weird, their way of doing things. You have to find that even more. And the other thing is, I was having a conversation very recently, and we were having a discussion about women and hair and makeup and some of those kinds of things, and what is appropriate and not appropriate. And it was this discussion we were having. And I was saying to them that for a very long time, especially in the Caribbean, all right, and I know I do have some persons who would listen to me and follow me who are outside of the Caribbean, but especially in the Caribbean, we have a particular box that we have found ourselves in, that we have been stuffed into, and that we ensure that we stuff others into. So this is the way we do things. This is the way we dress. This is the way we speak. This is the way we walk. This is what you're allowed to do. This is what you're not allowed to do. This is where you're allowed to go. This is where you're not allowed to go. Why would you do something like that? And everybody wants to advise you on what is best for you. And many times you get lost inside the thing. All right. It is absolutely critical that you find it. Find your zone of genius. Find that brilliance. Find that thing that makes you come alive when you do it, or you say it, or you get involved in it. It is very important. because the unique you cannot be copied. Cannot be copied. Right now, they're still trying to clone humans. Can't. Because there is an invisible part of a person that they can't so easily replicate. That is the part of you I'm talking about. All right? That is the part of you I am speaking about. You have to find you. All right? And when it is in one of my programs, we go through this value exercise where persons have to take the time and go through their lives. And it's a very in-depth exercise. It's a very revealing exercise. Sometimes it could even be a very vulnerable exercise because there are parts of us we have had to stuff down and push away. Sometimes the part of you that will make you shine, people say to you, you can't do that. You wouldn't make any money doing that. But really, it's because the person didn't know how to make money doing it. So they told you that and you believed it. All right? You have to take some time to go back inside of you and find it. It's absolutely critical. You see that robotic way blending in? So what it blending in? You can't do that anymore. That will not fly. That will get you in a list to be X'd off. And you don't want that at all. All right. So you must bring uniqueness. You must bring that value. And when you find the value, you have to own it. This is yours. This is yours. I have been on different stages, met so many wonderful leadership strategists. I mean, I'm also an accountant, and we have an accounting arm of our business. And there are other accountants who I connect very well with. I may even refer business to them. Because when it is you come to understand your own value, your own zone of brilliance and genius, you're not competing with anyone. You are not, you don't feel threatened by anyone. And because you own what is yours. You own what is yours. You have to find that. And even though you may not be in business, but if you're in business, man, you have to do it to stay in business. But let's just say you're not in business and you're working for an organization, you need to find it to stay ahead of the curve. Because I'm telling you, I work with leaders, I work with managers, I work with executives, and many of them don't know what it is. And anytime you cannot be distinguishable in your organization, it's easy to cut you. It's easy to cut you. All right. So you want to be distinguishable. You want your brilliance to show up that you alone can do. Nobody can do it like you, even if they have the same profession. All right. And that's a very important thing. All right. The second thing is there is something I refer to as the strategic mind and eye, the strategic mind and the strategic eye. Now, the strategic mind and eye, I'll just go through it very, very quickly. It just means that your role in the organization, you must be able to connect that very, very directly to the overall goals of the organization. Not indirectly, not through some bobbing and weaving way, but very, very directly. You need to know if you go left, what does that mean for the company's goals? If I go right, what does that mean for the company's goals? If I work extra hours, what does that mean for the company's goals? If I take vacation, you want every single movement in your department. All right, we're talking about leadership. We're talking about, especially if it is your responsibility, we're going from supervisory, management, executive, CEO level. You have to be incredibly clear on that connection. And so when you make decisions, when you make recommendations, when you evaluate anything, you want to evaluate that. You want to evaluate with that in mind. Why do you want to do that? Because an organization is set up to accomplish certain goals, be it NGO, profit making, it doesn't matter. A government, a state enterprise, public service, they all have very specific reasons for their existence. And the goals that they would have to be seeking to accomplish would be tied to the reason for their existence. So if you can tie very directly what you do and the value that you bring to the outcome that they're trying to create, you automatically make yourself more valuable. Automatically. And it may be sounding simple. It's not as simple to do if you don't do it already. All right. But you need to do it because that is what you're going to use to bolster your value and relevance in the organization. All right. And once you figure that out very, very clearly, then there are strategies you can put in place. All right. Because if it is you right now, you're doing 20 things, 20 things. And managers, it happens to managers all the time, depending on your leadership profile. And for anyone who's on, who have never, so Celine, I saw your questions. I'll answer it. Just 1 minute. So if you've never done that leadership assessment, there's a free one on my website. I encourage you to do it. All right, get to understand your style. And let's just say in your style now, you're doing 20 things because you can. It's not really your responsibility to do it, but you can do it. And people taking too long. So instead of me taking all this time to review it, but I just do it myself to get it out because the time is short. The challenge is you are not supposed to be using your time like that. You are supposed to be using your time to do the things that you alone can do. You don't do things simply because you can do it or you know how to do it or because you do it well. You do the things that you alone can do. All right? And if it is you tie the things that you alone can do very directly to the reason why the organization is in existence and helping it very directly accomplish its goals, you are going to tie yourself in as a very valuable member of that team. All right? And you want to put yourself in that position. You want to position yourself as that. If it is you cannot connect what it is you do to the outcome of the organization, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. So you want to take some time to do that. All right? Let me just answer Celine's question before I jump into the next two. Celine is asking, do you know who you are and what is your distinctive competence? Yeah, do you know if you fit into the organization and why you are there? These are the questions that we have to ask ourselves listening to what you're saying. Okay, great. Okay, good. So you were just summarizing. Lovely. Nice. All right. So the next thing that you need to do is you need to be clear on your own vision. You need to be clear on your own vision. I'm not talking about the organization's vision. I'm not even talking about the team's vision. I'm talking about your own vision. Why are you there? What are you seeking to accomplish? How does that fit into the wider plan for your life? You have to be incredibly clear about that. You want to start to map that out. And you want to map that out in a way that allows you to accomplish what you are seeking to accomplish. Now, if it is you're in an organization and you have the intention of staying there, then perhaps you need to make plans to go somewhere else or to do whatever else you want to do. But if you are in the organization, you really know you can make an impact, then you need to put plans in place to make that impact. It's more than just a job. It's more than just getting paid. You want to add value to your organization. You want to add to the level of innovation. You want to add to the level of success and effectiveness it has. All right, that should be a goal of yours. But you want to become clear because many times people are just there. Their jobs are a means to an end. But you want to make your job more meaningful than that, your position more meaningful than that. And if it is not, and I will tell you this, I have found that persons love their jobs. What they don't love is the people in their jobs. There's some people who love what they do. They love the organization they're in. What they don't like is the people who are there making their lives live in hell. All right? So you want to know, based on everything that you're experiencing, what do you want for you? You have to become clear on that, because if you are not clear on that, other people will determine what it is best for you, and that is what you're going to end up with. You want to hold on to your agency. You want to determine what is best for you and orchestrate it so that you benefit in the process. That is very, very important. And the last thing for you to do to not become a casualty when it comes to AI is that you need to up your influence factor. You need to become more influential. And that is not replicable. AI in influencing anybody. Because there are only certain ways that you can influence persons. Influence comes through trust. All right, and I'll just give you very quickly the connection. All right, trust is the bedrock of influence. If it is you are trying to influence somebody more, and it doesn't matter who this is, it can be somebody who reports to you, it could be somebody who you report to, right? It could be a senior, it can be a child, it can be a spouse, a family member, it can be somebody in a social setting, it could be any. The only way to build influence is to build trust. If you are seeking to increase your influence, do not seek to influence the person, seek to build trust. I hope that making sense. Do not focus on influencing the person. Focus on building trust, because trust is what gives you influence. Influence is a natural byproduct of trust. And if you are trying very directly to influence the person, people will repel it. They're going to put up their guard because they're going to feel like you're trying to manipulate them and control them. All right? And influence is not manipulation. We're not talking about that. All right? But you want to influence certain outcomes. You certainly want to have influence over your children. You want to have influence over the persons who you lead. You need certain influences in order to be successful as a leader. All right? And in order to do that, you need to build trust. Nobody ain't coming up there to trust any AI. What people would trust in the AI is the I part, the intellect, that it knows, it has the data, but that's the extent of it. All right? But when it comes to human connection. So let me ask you this. Have you ever heard in the workplace? Because you asked me, or because person A asked, I will do it. If it was person B, I'm not doing it. And there's a reason for that, because that's human connection. All right? That is human connection. You wouldn't hear anybody saying, well, because AI asked me, whatever the AI name is, I'll do it. That connection will not develop simply because of what it is. It's not human. So you need to lean into your humanness, because that is where your trump will come to influence. You will be able, depending on how you position yourself, and I have worked with clients to do this already. Depending on how you position yourself, you can even end up in the decision-making spaces and rooms, adding your voice on how things are rolled out and how things are done, so that you can have impact and you can have influence on how it will affect you and affect your team and affect your team's role. All right? So you want to be able to develop your influence, up your influence factor in your organization, in your various spheres, because that cannot be replicated by AI. So just to recap, one, you must find you, and when you find you, own you. All right? You have to get your uniqueness to stand out. You must develop that strategic mind and eye. Be very, very clear on how what you do connects to the wider organization. You must do it. Thirdly, get a vision for yourself. What do you want out of all of this? Where do you want to be? All right? And up the influence factor. You must become more influential. Because if it is you don't, and leadership has so many different components. Really and truly, if you become a stronger leader, it'll be very difficult to replicate you. It's almost impossible. Almost impossible. I am certain AI will be able to give suggestions and recommendations on how to treat with certain things. But people are highly unpredictable. Leading people so nuanced. There are so many elements. The organizational history. You can imagine the tenseness in a particular department, in a particular room, between two persons. You can cut the organizational culture because it's so thick. Will AI be able to decipher and analyze all of that? It may not have the connectors to do it. Humans, we can do it because we can walk into a room and feel the difference, feel the tension, feel the lightness. All right? That gives us certain pieces of information that guides our response. AI can't do that. So you have to lean into your humanness more. All right? All right. So last few things before I wrap up. How to use AI to cement your success and relevance. So we talked about what to do, your humanness. All right? The AI is there. Use it. AI is there. Use it. Don't be afraid to use it. All right. So the first thing is in how to use AI to cement your success and relevance, have an open mind and explore. I want to encourage you, have an open mind. You can imagine when computers first came out, I'll tell you a secret, right? Even though we live. When I was in secondary school, I did typewriting as a subject, right? And you pull the thing and you push it down, all right? As a subject, and I did very well. I got a distinction in it. So that whole subject that I did now is completely irrelevant, all right? Because typewriters don't exist anymore. They're antique somewhere in some museum somewhere, all right? And there were persons who went out of business when that occurred. There were people who lost their jobs when that occurred, simply because they could not adapt. They refused to adapt. Listen, AI isn't going anywhere. It's just going to become more and more advanced. So become an early adopter. Early adopters get so many benefits that mid adopters get, and then late adopters get crumbs. So be an early adopter. Have that open mind. There's so many things. Chat GPT, you can go and explore. I have used it free of charge, and if it is you want to pay a subscription and you use it otherwise. All right. The third element, the third component, vision, your vision for yourself and where you want to be. All right. Your vision for yourself and where you want to be. That's the third component. Thank you, sure. Right. So you want to have an open mind. You want to be an early explorer. And just like there are people up to today, I remember having a Zoom meeting, because I always have different sessions. This one I do it on YouTube. Sometimes it's only on Zoom. All right. And next month I'm going to have one on understanding the 5 living generations in the workplace. Because I always do those things for leadership, right? There are different topics coming out. And I remember one topic I did in 2023, that would have been December 2022. And when this person joined the Zoom room, he said to me, oh my word, it's the first time I'm using Zoom. And I'm like, the first time I'm using Zoom in 2022? You know, we done gone through a whole pandemic where the whole world was on Zoom. And he simply said, I'm not into these things. No. There were people who were using Zoom long before the pandemic. Long before the pandemic. Right? 5, 7 years before the pandemic, the rest of the world became aware of Zoom and became more savvy in Zoom during the pandemic. So the point I'm making is some things may just appear scary or difficult because it's just new. All right, I always tell my son that nothing is hard, it's just new. After a while of using it, it would no longer be new. So have an open mind. Go and explore AI. Go and try it out. I tried it out. The first time I tried it out, I was like, hey, I can't believe this. This is so strange. And then it was, you got accustomed. You know, so some things it would take me, 2 good hours to do. Man, in seconds, AI spitting it out. In seconds, AI spitting it out. Go and use it. Go and figure it out. Go and test it out. And find a way to use it in your job to help you do things. You might have to write a letter, draft an email, do a report or analyze some data. Use it to your advantage. All right, use it to your advantage. Go and explore, but have an open mind. Be an early adopter. All right, because again, with your influence, with your strategic mind and eye, understanding your uniqueness, understanding what you want clearly for you, this is you already establishing your human value. And now you're going to take hold of the technology and use it to your advantage. That's a double whammy. All right, so you're not going to be scared of it. All right, don't be scared of it. Explore, have that open mind. And the next thing is you want to zone in on key areas that you and your team can use it for and can use it to make the team shine and to make yourself shine, to get more done faster. All right. And again, remember with your strategic mind and eye, tie it back to the organizational goals, organizational purpose, the strategic goals for the period. Tie everything back. So you're not just going to pull AI and use it because, hey, it's fun to use here and it's fun to use there, but use it to help you become even more valuable and more relevant. to your organization. So when they come to chopping names, they'll say, "Now we can't chop her, we can't chop him because he's helped us do this, this, this." They'll be very clear on your value because you're producing very tangible results. And AI will help you to do it without killing yourself out, without you having to spend more time and more hours so that you can get more time back for yourself and your family and your health and just to be, and just probably just to do nothing. All right. So you want to use it, zone in on areas that you can use it. And there are different AIs to do different things, to design things, to write things, to analyze things. It's across the board. Just search it, explore. And once you start to see them, think on ways that you can use it. Start to use it, start to get the feel for it. And after a while, it's going to become second nature, so comfortable. And trust me, you are going to be an early adopter in your organization. If your organization may not be fully using it, you can use it as your own personal tool to make you more effective in your position because there are free opportunities out there to use them. You don't always have to pay. All right. And if it is you find one that you may have to pay for, but you know it will make a huge difference in your department, your organization, your role, you may even want to pitch it. All right, for the organization to pay for it. Okay. The other thing is you want to lead by example and you want to model this type of behavior. You want to model this open, innovative behavior with your team. If you seem scared, your team will be scared. If you seem apprehensive, they will be apprehensive. You don't want to be a leader like that. Leaders who are apprehensive to learn and adapt and innovate quickly become irrelevant, quickly become obsolete. All right. And one of the things, I mean, I don't have the time, I wish I had the time, but next month we'll go into the generations. Depending on which generation you are from, my advice is going to be a little bit different. If it is you're a Gen Z, all right, and trust me, the Gen Zs have no problem having a robot boss. The Generation Zs, they're from age 10 to about age 25. They're the youngest people in the space. The Generation Y, they're from age 26 up to 42. Again, they may not have any problem having a robot boss because they're into growth. They're into development. Those two younger generations were born with technology as advanced as it is right now. Right now. Okay? And the thing is, they account for the largest portion of the workforce. They account for the largest portion of the workforce. So as time goes by, more and more of them are entering the workforce. They're going to get larger. So you have no choice. You have no choice. If you're Generation X is like from 43 up to 57, or you're a baby boomer, you're from 58 up to 75, you have no choice. Get accustomed, start to explore. The same way you learn computers, the same way you learn Zoom, the same way you learn any other software your organization introduced is the same way you would learn this. It's not difficult. It's just new. All right, so get in there and lead by example. Bring it into your one time for a team meeting. Pull it up on the screen and let's just test it out. All right, because you want to have a team that's agile. You want to have a team that's open. All right. And they would see you as being just so much more relevant because I'm certain within your team, you're going to have some Z's and Y's in there. All right. You're going to have some Z's and Y's. And if it is you don't, you may have X, Generation X. All right. And when we get into that session, we can go a little bit deeper into the generations and the characteristics within inside of them and how that may even impact you exploring AI. And the last thing is you want to become clear. You want to have a bit of a policy for usage. All right. It doesn't have to be, I mean, because you're doing it probably for yourself personally or for your department. You want to just have parameters because anything that could be so powerful and so useful can also cause a lot of damage very, very easily. All right. So you want to put a policy in place. It doesn't have to be a big, big policy, but certain things you want to control, all right? And certain things you want to even debar, right? When it is you're using AI. But you don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater because, it can be used in a bad way. You don't use it at all. You will be left behind, all right? So just create a policy. Very clear, simple policy. Make sure everybody who's using it is aware of the policy. And if you're a CEO, all right, let me just talk to the CEOs. If there's any CEOs in the house right now, or even may watch the video later on, you want to ensure that there's a policy for your overall organization. And you want to encourage your managers and team leaders to start exploring AI. It will make your work and your organization's work a lot easier. All right? Good. So just reiterating, find you, all right? Own you, develop a strategic mind and eye, have a vision for yourself, up your influence factor, and lastly, how to use AI to cement your success and relevance. Have an open mind and explore. Be an early adopter, even if it's personally only for your team. Zone in on key areas that you and your team can use it to benefit. Tying it back to the strategic mind and eye. Lead by example. All right? Be that kind of leader that you would want to see in your team. And then create a policy for usage. All right? You don't want people to start to use it for all kinds of things, because you can use it to write a report once it has certain components, but then you don't want people to then take it now and then go and use it to do something else they're not supposed to do. All right. So let me know if you have any questions for me. So far, we're landing the plane. All right. So you can give me any feedback, any questions that you may have. All right. Any questions you may have, any feedback. And let me just say, as I'm waiting for that, as I'm wrapping up, we're going to close it off in like about 3 to 5 minutes. This area of leadership, I got into this area of leadership because I have seen a lot of people struggle leading. Not that they're bad leaders, they just didn't know. And they came up under people who were toxic. And so they struggled in leadership. And then I've seen persons who struggled in leadership before they came into leadership, struggled under poor toxic leaders. And I realize that we really don't know how to lead. We only know how to manage. And if it is you stop and look around society, you would see it in organizations. You're going to see it in the country, right? In fact, after my session that I'm doing on understanding the 5 living generations in the workplace, I would do a leadership series in the national space, national leadership. All right, because you see it all around. People are accessing positions, but don't know what it is to truly lead. All right. In this season, you cannot afford to just be a manager. You have to up your leadership factor. You have to level up your leadership. You must. Because if you don't, you will get left behind. All right, you will get left behind. So last call for any questions or comments. We do have, I could just probably announce this also, we do have our Leadership Mastery Bootcamp. I think I mentioned it earlier, starting next week, Tuesday, the 2nd of May. All right, and that's a fantastic program that if it is you interested, you can go to my website, safiyajohnson.com, my name, safiyajohnson.com, and there's all the information that the Leadership Mastery Bootcamp. And because you were here today, all right, and I'll be able to see who's here today, and you are interested in joining that session because you showed up live, I will grant you a very special bonus. All right, I will grant you a very special bonus because you showed up live. If you're interested in joining that, I am going to have a masterclass very specifically, even though I'm going to have the free session next month. I'm going to do a masterclass, a deep dive on mastering, motivating the 5 living generations, how to motivate them, because the free live was going to be on understanding them, but the masterclass is going to be on motivating them, how to motivate anybody at any age, whether they're older than you or younger than you. All right, so you could check that out. May 2nd itself is the deadline for registration. So if it is you on the live, just when you register, just let me know Safiya was on the live, all right? If it is you put in #replay, unfortunately, you would not qualify. All right. So that's basically it, guys. Right. And with the Leadership Mastery Bootcamp, I didn't say that. one of what we are focusing on is helping persons to lead in a way that helps them to make more impact. You must make more impact. You should not leave a space and people don't even recognize that you left, that they don't feel your absence, then you didn't make any impact. All right, so you want to be a powerfully impactful leader, that your organization benefits, your team benefits, you benefit. All right, that you can become more marketable. Being more marketable means that you can make more money. All right, and lastly, that you can have more freedom, more time. I've seen persons want to do more, but they're scared to do more because they feel that they have to give up more of their life. We're not about that, all right? You can be impactful, you can be marketable, make more money, and still have more time, all right? So guys, if no questions, it was my pleasure being with you here today. All right, I want to say thank you so much for joining me, whether you were in the Zoom room or you were on YouTube Live. If it is you are watching it over on YouTube, put in hashtag replace. I know that you're dropping by afterward. And if you have any questions, still put it in the chat. I will be following up in this chat for the next couple of weeks, and I will answer any questions that you may have. Or if it is you want me to do a live on a particular topic coming out of what I said today, let me know and I will do one on that. All right, guys. So you are welcome. Have a great rest of the evening. Thank you so much for joining on. Bye.